Alright folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's got a potential thunderstorm coming at me, and we'll see if we can get done with this video before it hits. I'm kind of thinking I may not, but we'll see. So we're all dealing with inflation. We're dealing with way higher inflation than what they're telling us. I think what's the recent amount? They said 9.1%, and that's laughable. We all know that's laughable. We go to the grocery stores, we see the ridiculous prices. Just this morning, my wife and I went to the grocery store to pick up a few things, and it was just it just blows you away what they're charging for things. The difference in just a few months' time, and these inflation numbers that they spit out at us, it's always, year over year. How much more are you paying for food than you were, say, 2 years ago? If you go back just a couple of years, it's a lot, and it's only getting worse. And regardless of what they want to say about recession and inflation and all that, you and I know what's really going on. And I have grown into the position that I believe that we're well beyond a recession. I believe that we are in a depression, that Main Street is in a depression. Maybe the stock market isn't. Maybe the big banks and the billionaires and the big corporations, maybe they're not in a depression. But for the average Joe on the street, they're feeling a depression. And folks, it's just going to get worse, because today, on top of yesterday, when we were talking about the new spending bill, that's $750 billion in spending to basically line the pockets of their buddies and tell farmers they can't produce food anymore. Today it was announced that another $5.5 trillion is being sent to Ukraine. That's right, $4.5 trillion through the International Monetary Fund from us, and then and then another $1 billion directly from the Pentagon. It's just a big old slush fund, and I'm telling you, money must just grow on trees. I didn't think that it did, but apparently for some that it does. And just like many of us for the last few years, really the last couple of decades, but let's not go that far back. Let's just take the last couple of years. Many of you were saying the same thing that I was. You can't just keep spending this money. You can't just keep creating this out of nowhere, creating a few extra digits on the screen, and then not expect and not realize that at some point you're going to have to pay the piper. I mean, that's exactly what we've all said for the last couple of years, with the trillions and trillions of dollars that's been spent in bailouts and all kinds of other stuff. And of course, we're now starting to really feel that. You can go all the way back to 2008 to all the bailouts then that happened, and then up till now, it's just been compounding and compounding, and we're over $30 trillion in debt. I mean, there's no possible way we can pay that back, and they know that. And so they're going to milk it dry as much as they can before it collapses. This is a massive transfer of wealth. It's a huge. Inflation is simply just a big tax. I mean, who's making that extra money? When you're paying 30% more for that gallon of milk, or for that pound of beef, or for that box of spaghetti, who's making that extra 30%? It's not the store. They're not making that extra 30%. It's not the guys that are stocking the shelves. It's not the guys back at the manufacturer that's making the noodles and boxing it up. It's not the farmers who's growing the wheat and the other ingredients in the stuff. It's not them. It's the people at the very top of the pyramid. They're the ones that's getting all this wealth. That's why we're seeing all these, tops of these heads of corporations, their wealth is just expanding. If you look at the top 10 wealthiest people in the country and look at how much their wealth has grown just in the last couple of years, it's just mind-blowing to see this kind of stuff. And it's just going to get worse. This, folks, is only one aspect of this collapse that we're living in. It's just one aspect, the financial part. And it definitely does affect many other areas. It's affecting the food area. It's making it difficult to go buy groceries. Again, we went to the grocery store this morning to pick up a few things, and it's getting very noticeable. It's getting very tough, and I'm starting to notice as I was, we were walking around looking at other people's carts. There's a lot less food in them, but I'm also noticing that there's a lot of cheap food in them. The other day I talked about how these dollar stores, Dollar Trees and stuff, their sales have increased, their grocery sales have increased over 70% in the last few months, because people are spending their money at these little dollar shops because they can't afford real food. And what that means is that people are buying really poor quality food. They're buying very unhealthy food because that's all they can afford. This problem's only going to get worse. And again, I'm going to repeat myself, this is only part of the problem. There's all these international problems going on that is definitely going to affect us. Russia today has announced that they are temporarily resigning, temporarily bowing out of the Strategic Nuclear Reduction Treaty. This is the one that we have been involved with them for several years to reduce the amount of nuclear weapons, and to do so, we send our inspectors and they have their inspectors, and we inspect each other's stuff and that kind of stuff. And because of all these restrictions on Russia, Russia says they just can no longer participate in that. But also what happens because of that, it opens the door a little bit wider for them to have the ability to actually use those. We could see tactical nukes used in Ukraine. It was just today that the Pentagon came out and said that they believe that Russia has lost potentially up to 80,000 casualties in Ukraine. And if that's true, and they're starting to see that kind of loss, it's very possible that at some point Russia could use a nuke. And while that may not be on us, it's definitely going to change things. You think we've spent a lot of money now in Ukraine? You wait until Russia drops a tactical nuke on them. We'll be spending it'll be insane. It'll be absolutely insane. China is not slowing down on their military drills around Taiwan. The ones that's been going on for a week have ended, and they've started up some new ones. And this time they're also working with Thailand, another country in the region. This is more of a buildup, and this is very reminiscent of just a few months ago with Russia doing this around Ukraine with their military drills, and then all of a sudden one of those drills just happened to be an invasion. This is very likely a scenario that they could follow. The Secretary of State has stated that if China tries to make any moves on the Philippines, that we will react and we will come to their aid and defend them. There is just a lot of stuff going on in that region. And I think it's getting to the point that most people are starting to realize that it's going to happen. There's something is bound to happen. I think it's becoming less likely of a chance that nothing will happen. Again, I could be wrong, but I think that's probably the path that we're headed down. We're seeing problems all over, and these ones that I mention when I do these videos, I'm just kind of picking off the top, the ones that kind of stand out, that kind of catch my attention. But the fact is that there's countless other issues that are going on, and one that I don't talk about too much. Part of me, I wish that I would talk about it more, but censorship. And that's just how we are completely degrading our society, the loss of morality in our society. My wife and I watched a video today someone sent me, and it's at a restaurant, apparently. I mean, it looks like a restaurant. It doesn't look like a bar. And someone's there with a little infant girl, maybe a toddler, like 12 months old or something like that. And there are men dressed up as women, very scantily dressed up as women, dancing around this little infant baby, and they were getting the baby to hand the people that were dancing dollar bills. This is all this other stuff, the inflation and the money, the spending, the wars. None of that's really that surprising to me. I mean, I've been playing this game, really digging into all of this stuff for at least 2 decades now. And so the stuff with China and the stuff with Russia and the inflation and, our ridiculous monetary policies and how it's all coming to a head, that's not really that surprising to me. But this stuff that people are putting their little children out there to be abused in this way, it's shocking to me. And it's not only that that's happening, but that our society as a whole, not you, but the greater society is telling everyone that that's normal, it's healthy, it's okay, it's good, everybody should do it. How did we get to this point in our society? I mean, I do know, but and it's all spiritual. When a nation turns its back on the Heavenly Father, the Creator in heaven, this kind of stuff happens, and that's most certainly what we've done as a nation. And I'm telling you, the problems that we have, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, are far greater than our dollar being devalued or, going to war with China and Russia. And those are major things. If our dollar collapses and loses its value, and we have hyperinflation, and we go to war with China, a war that will probably, outdo every other war we've ever been in, those are major, major things. And they're definitely going to do a good job of bringing us to our knees. But this, what we're doing and to children, and it's normalizing it, and it's being praised by all the elites and all of the educators and the entertainment industry and the politicians and everything. This is a lot, folks. And if you can't see that America and the Western culture is collapsing, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what, you're watching the wrong channel. You need to just unsubscribe, not watch me, go somewhere else, because I'm telling you, the signs are all around us. It's like we're being slapped upside the head every day of all of this absolute debauchery in our culture, on top of shortages and supply chain problems and civil unrest and wars and rumors of wars and massive economic problems and complications, droughts and weather problems, and then all the stuff that the government's doing behind our backs and behind the scenes. It's all a lot. I mean, it's a lot. And if you can't see that we're watching our civilization fall apart, and for many of you, there may be a heartbreak there, because you're proud American citizens. You're proud of your country. You're proud of her history. And so there's a little heartbreak there. But you need to also understand that this is the way it has to be. This is the way it's been foretold. A nation cannot continue down this path for as long as she has and not pay the price for her sins. Everyone does. And I think America is starting to pay the price for her sins. And the people, the people, and even us that may not partake in those ways, I think we're going to have to pay a little bit for it too, because the good, God-fearing, Christian people in America did not stand up. They didn't stop it. We could have. At one point, we could have, and we didn't. When I say get your houses in order, I mean that truly with all my heart. I'm not talking about just stacking your coins, your silver, your beans, your bullets. I'm not talking just about that stuff. I mean, that's important. Certainly do it. But what I'm really talking about is getting your house in order and teaching your children properly, building barriers around them, and giving them the skills through mentally and spiritually, the skills to stand up against this. Because this is a monster out there trying to devour our children, and you need to be getting your houses in order. This is a call out to men. I can't really speak for women because I'm very sure that I'm not one. But for men, you need to be doing your duty. Your duty as the head of your home, as the husband, as the father, to protect your family, not just physically, definitely physically, but not just physically. Protecting your family, protecting your children, protecting your grandchildren, taking a stand and be an example. It's time. That's what we're meant to do. That's what men are meant to do. We're meant to be an example. We're meant to be leaders. It's not a chauvinistic thing. It's not anything like that, toxic masculinity or anything like that. That's what we were created to do. And men have given up those duties for far too long, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why our country is in the shape that it's in. Folks, get your houses in order. Men, do your job. Be a man. Stand up against this stuff. Teach your children right. Protect your children. Protect your wives. And do the job that you were created to do. And stand up against this evil. Because it's coming all around us. And it's not just the economy. It's not just the supply chain. It's not just the wars. It's not just the droughts. It's not just all that other stuff. There's some really heavy stuff that's happening in our country that just a few years ago, there wouldn't have been a soul in this country that would have believed you if you told them it was going to happen. And yet it's happening today. Get your houses in order. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Mentally, physically, and most especially spiritually. Folks, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.